Hey guys, welcome back to another Leetcode video. Today we're going to be looking at Leetcode 57, insert interval. This is a medium difficulty Leetcode problem, and the problem description tells us that we're given an array of non-overlapping intervals where each interval has a start and end value, which represents the start and end of the ith interval. And these intervals are sorted for us in ascending order, which is nice because whenever we want a interval problem, we're typically going to need to solve it. Most of the time. So it's nice that they've done that for us. So, that means we won't need to get an O of n log n time complexity from sorting. So that's nice. We can keep that in mind. And then the next part of the description tells us that we want to insert a new interval into intervals, such that intervals is still sorted in ascending order. So still sorting is still valid in ascending order, but we want to insert this new interval into this intervals list. And we want to make sure that there are no overlapping intervals. So we want to merge any intervals that overlap. And then we want to return the intervals after the insertion. So here's an example. We have, 1, 3, and 6, 9. And we have a new interval 2 and 5. 2 and 5 and 1 and 3 are intervals which merge. And so we combine them to make 1 and 5, and then we get 6, 9, because 6, 9 does not merge again with 1 and 5. So, that is kind of the example. It seems easy, but it is quite tricky to come up with a solution. So let's look at this. There's three cases really of how we would insert an interval, right? We want to insert, we want to insert at the start. So we want to insert at the start. That's case 1. Case 2 is at the end. And case 3 is we want to merge two intervals. So let's look at an example. Let's say we have 3 and 4. And then let's say we have two cases. We have two test cases. So we have 1 and 2, and then 5 and 6. So for the first case, 1 and 2, well, we'll compare the ending of our new interval to the beginning of the interval that we're currently at. And we say, okay, is this ending less than the start of the next interval? And if it is, well, we can insert this interval at the beginning of this, or at the front of this interval that we are at. If it's something like 5 and 6, for example, well, we can compare 5 to 4. We can say, is the beginning of this new interval, of our new interval, greater than the ending, which also means there's no overlapping, and we can insert this interval at the end. So those are the insert before and after cases. Pretty simple. The case that we kind of want to worry about is, let's say we have something like 1, 3, and 2, 5, right? So we have 1, 3, and then we have 2, 5. We compare these two. So we compare the beginning. We say 2 is 2 less than or equal to 3? Well, no, it's less than 3, which means that these two intervals overlap. Therefore, we should merge you. But let's say we had an example like this. We have 1 and 3. Let's say this was, I don't know, 5. So let's say this was 5, 9. So if this was 5, 9, well, we'd say, we'd merge 1 and 5, but this would be 5, 9. And so we would need to merge again. So remember, when it comes to merging, we don't want to just merge and then be like, okay, merging is done. We may need to merge multiple times. So that's something to keep in mind. So yeah, let's actually get to coding this problem up. So the first thing we want to do is create a result variable. So we'll store our results, and then we'll list store it, and then we can say for each interval, not intervals, intervals. My spelling is horrendous today. Okay, so we want to say the first case, right? If new interval 1 is less than intervals I 0, well, then we can insert this at the beginning, can we not? So we can say result dot append new interval, and then just return the result. We don't need to do anything else now. We just need to return the result plus all the intervals from I onwards. The next thing, actually not else, the second case is going to be if we have an interval that we need to insert afterwards. So we want to say if new interval 0, so 0 is greater than intervals I1, well, then what we can say is we don't want to append the interval, right? We want to, to our result, we want to append the interval that we're currently at, not our new interval. Because they could be, we could insert this interval, and then we could need to do more. We need to do more post processing after this. We can't just add our our new interval and then add this afterwards. That wouldn't really make sense, would it? And then the last case, and this case is where we need to merge two intervals. So this is our last case. Well, we want to get our new interval and we want to set it equal to the minimum of new interval 0 and the current interval that we're at, its start, okay? And then the maximum of these two values. So let's copy you. New interval 1 and the current interval that we are at 1 as well. And remember, let's actually, this is important here because we are adding result, right? And so, preferably we get to an interval and there's no more merging that we need to do, and then we return on the next iteration. We return, we just append the result to the beginning. That's fine. But there is a case where the new interval waits until it's at the end, and we still haven't inserted anything at the end. So we want to say results.append new interval. So we make sure that we do append it inevitably at the end, and then return our result. So let's run that code. Let's check that it passes all the test cases, and it does. It passes all 158 test cases, and it beats 100% of all previous solutions, which is really nice, except for the fact that Leetcode's runtime calculations aren't always correct, but we'll just pretend that we don't know that. And yeah, so in terms of time complexity, time complexity and space complexity is both going to be big over n. Time because it's linear, it's just a single pass. Space complexity because we are storing the entire result, so it counts the new result array that we are building. So I hope this video made sense, guys. I hope the problem kind of you were able to wrap your head around it. Just a bit confusing, especially with all of this logic over here. It's just one of those ones where you kind of have to go back and forth and be like, okay, what does this do? How are we going to merge intervals multiple times? And you can make this very long-winded, but it is fairly simple and fairly easy to code up once you understand all the edge cases to solve this problem. So I hope this video made sense, guys. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one.